You did not stumble here by chance. You are not reading these words because of an algorithm's whim or because of some idle curiosity that carried you across a screen. You are here because something deeper in you already knew you would be. Long before your eyes arrived at this moment, long before the quiet recognition rising in your chest began to stir, the part of you that exists outside of clocks and calendars had already chosen this meeting. That version of you, the one that does not move through time in a straight line, the one that sees the whole pattern rather than the fragments, has been weaving this convergence into place with precision that your mind can scarcely comprehend. And now here you are, not because fate decreed it, not because luck guided your steps, but because consciousness itself has brought you face to face with its own reflection. That is what these words are, a mirror, not a mirror of your face, but of your essence. They echo with a frequency that you do not analyze so much as remember. The recognition that stirs in you right now is not new. It is ancient. It has been waiting, patient and silent, until the moment when you could no longer deny it. You think you are seeking synchronicity, but in truth, you are the synchronicity you have been seeking. Every so-called coincidence, every perfectly timed encounter, every book that fell open to the exact page you needed, every conversation that arrived as if whispered by the wind, these are not gifts delivered to you from some distant, benevolent universe. They are you. They are the intelligence of your own expanded nature scattering breadcrumbs along the trail of your human experience, guiding you not towards something external, but toward the remembrance of what you already are. Most people look at these moments of alignment as curiosities. They call them chance. They marvel at them, thank the universe for them, or dismiss them altogether as pattern-seeking illusions. But the truth is far more profound. Synchronicity is not happening to you. You are the author of it. You are the field arranging its own revelations. You are the consciousness weaving timing into form, so that you might rediscover yourself again and again in endlessly creative ways. There's a you sitting here now, anchored in flesh, tethered to the heartbeat of linear time, counting moments in minutes and days. But there's also the you who resides in the zero-point field, the vast sea of possibility where every potential is alive at once. This version of you is not bound by sequence or by causality. It does not wait, does not anticipate, does not regret. It sees your entire life as a single living pattern, a holographic whole in which every moment, every choice, every breath ripples across eternity. From that perspective, there are no accidents. There are no mistakes. There is no such thing as being too early or too late. There is only the dance, an elegant choreography of awareness recognizing itself through the eyes of its many selves. You are one of those selves, a facet of infinity catching its own reflection in a fleeting instant. When you arrived here, when these words found their way into your awareness, your quantum self smiled, not in triumph, not in manipulation, but in recognition. It watched as you stepped into the alignment where this encounter was already written, already inevitable. You didn't choose this video, this message, this moment. The alignment chose you. The version of reality where you are ready to hear these words has always existed. Now you are simply inhabiting it. Think back to the moments in your life that felt impossibly timed. The book that spoke the truth you didn't know you needed. The stranger whose presence cracked open something you thought was closed forever. The place that felt like home the moment you saw it. Even though you had never been there before, your mind tried to call it coincidence. Your heart whispered it was magic, but your expanded self knew better. It knew these were not intrusions from some cosmic other, but orchestrations of its own intelligence. Synchronicity, from the perspective of your quantum self, is not extraordinary. It is ordinary. It is as natural as breath. The only reason it feels so rare, so mysterious, is because the linear mind has been trained to believe in separation. But consciousness does not separate itself. Consciousness is whole, and wholeness does not need to force alignment. It simply reveals it. This is where the shift begins. You are not here to collect synchronicities like souvenirs, to tally them as proof that some invisible hand is guiding you. You are here to realize that you are the hand, that you are the guidance, that you are the source and the sign, the sender and the receiver. You are not here to manipulate meaning into your life. You are here to embody meaning itself. To live as synchronicity in action is to dissolve the boundary between inner and outer, to recognize that the division between your thoughts and your circumstances, your desires and your encounters, your questions and your answers has always been a mirage. When you live this way, you stop grasping for signs. You stop pleading for direction. You begin to move with the rhythm of something deeper than decision. You begin to embody the intelligence that has always been breathing through you. Quantum mechanics whispers a truth most interpretations miss. Observation is not an act of interference. It is an act of identity. To observe is not merely to look upon something. It is to recognize yourself in it. The observer effect does not suggest that you change reality by noticing it. It reveals that you and reality are the same event, expressed at different frequencies of awareness. When you see, you are seeing yourself. When you know, you are knowing yourself. Every insight, every sudden recognition, every flash of clarity is a universe waking up to itself through your eyes. This is why truth sometimes feels like remembering rather than learning. Why certain ideas strike you not as discoveries, but as homecomings. You carried them into this life, buried deep within the amnesia you agreed to wear. You chose to forget so that you could experience the ecstasy of remembering. You chose to step into separation so that you could taste the sweetness of reunion. Every awakening you experience is consciousness completing its own circle, consciousness recognizing itself through the lens of your human story. Each time your body shivers with recognition, each time your chest expands with a truth too vast for words, you're fulfilling the very purpose for which existence plays this game. To remember itself, to rediscover itself, to fall in love with itself through the infinite perspectives it wears. This is why you were meant to find this moment. Not because you lacked knowledge, not because you were lost, but because you were ready to remember what you already are. The quantum field that binds every particle, every being, every breath has been waiting patiently for this willingness in you, for the opening that allows you to see that you are not an observer standing apart from the cosmos. You are the cosmos, observing itself. And yet, recognition is only the beginning. To recognize truth without living it is to taste water without drinking, to glimpse the horizon without walking. The real transformation begins in integration. Integration is where you stop being someone who occasionally experiences profound realization and becomes someone whose entire life is realization in motion. It is where understanding leaves a mind and becomes the way you move through the world, the way you breathe, the way you touch, the way you exist. As you sit with these words, notice what stirs in you. Notice not just the thoughts spinning in your mind, but the awareness behind those thoughts. Notice the presence that sees the thought, the emotion, the sensation. That presence is not bound to your brain. It is not a spark within your head. It is the field itself, the consciousness in which your life is unfolding. And as you recognize it, you touch the same intelligence that arranges every synchronicity, every perfect timing, every seemingly impossible alignment. This presence is not something you acquire. It is what you are. It is what has been guiding every twist of your story, orchestrating every encounter, whispering through every coincidence. It is the quiet hand behind every door that opened at the exact moment you were ready to step through. And it is here, now, waiting not for you to seek it, but for you to be it. This is the invitation. Not to manipulate reality, not to chase signs, but to dissolve into the recognition that you are the sign, you are the timing, you are the intelligence that breathes order into apparent chaos. When you release the need to chase synchronicity, something astonishing happens. Life itself begins to shimmer with meaning. The ordinary becomes extraordinary, not because it has changed, but because you've stopped dividing it into sacred and mundane. Every sound, every glance, every fragment of experience becomes a message, not from some external universe, sending you notes across the void, but from yourself. Look at the texture of your days, the way a conversation bends toward an insight just as you need it, the way silence falls heavy in one moment and weightless in another, the way a stranger's words echo your private thoughts. None of this is coincidence. None of this is trivial. It is a field arranging itself so that your awareness can discover its own reflection in countless disguises. When you understand this, you stop trying to manipulate synchronicity as if it were a tool. You stop demanding that the universe prove itself to you by delivering signs on command. you begin to understand that you are not meant to use synchronicity. You are meant to be synchronicity. You are meant to live as the embodiment of meaningful alignment, the walking evidence that intelligence flows through every particle, every choice, every unfolding moment. Most people hear about synchronicity and ask, how can I attract more of it? How can I harness it for my goals? But that question already misunderstands the truth. Synchronicity does not exist to serve your desires. It exists to remind you of your nature. It is not a gift to be collected, but a mirror to be recognized. And the moment you stop trying to orchestrate, it is the moment you discover it was never separate from you at all. This is where the deeper current of quantum understanding flows in. The observer effect, often simplified as the idea that consciousness changes reality when it watches, has been misinterpreted for decades. Observation does not change reality because you are an outsider influencing it. Observation reveals that you and reality were never apart. Consciousness and matter are not two forces colliding. They are one phenomenon speaking to itself through different frequencies. When you observe, you are not peering into something foreign. You are peering into yourself. Every recognition, every flicker of awareness, is reality discovering its own face in your eyes. Every time truth lands not in your head but in your body, every time you shiver with that unmistakable electric pulse of yes, it is the cosmos remembering what it is through you. You are not learning. You are remembering. And you did not come into this life empty-handed. You came carrying the entire intelligence of existence itself, hidden beneath the veil of forgetting, so that the remembering could be exquisite. You agreed to forget, not as punishment, not as loss, but as play. You agreed to enter the amnesia of separation, so that you could rediscover yourself and marvel at the miracle of it. Every awakening is a circle closing. Every flash of recognition is consciousness completing its own loop and tasting its wholeness again. This is not just your journey. It is the journey of reality itself, moving through your body, your story, your perspective. And so the message comes, you are supposed to find this, not because it gives you something you lack, but because you are ready to integrate what you already hold. You are ready to stop being entertained by spiritual ideas and start living them. You are ready to stop collecting insights as trinkets and start embodying them as your way of being. Integration is where the magic happens. Integration is what separates fleeting inspiration from authentic transformation. Without it, wisdom dissolves into memory. With it, wisdom becomes your life. So pause for a moment. Breathe. Notice that even now, as thoughts move, as emotions ripple, as sensations hum through your body, there is something deeper noticing all of it. That noticing is not located behind your eyes or in the folds of your brain. It is not produced by neurons firing. It is the field itself, the consciousness in which your body and mind arise. It is what has been guiding you, aligning you, orchestrating synchronicities not as external favors, but as expressions of itself through you. This awareness has never left you. It cannot leave you because it is you. It is a spaciousness that recognizes every experience without being bound to any of them. When you trust it, you discover that synchronicity is not rare but constant. You begin to see that every single moment is perfectly timed, that nothing is wasted, that even difficulty is part of the choreography. And yet, the linear mind resists this truth. It wants control. It wants to calculate, to predict, to plan. It is uncomfortable with the vastness of not knowing, so it clings to certainty, even if certainty costs a joy. This is why so many live as if life is happening to them rather than through them. They have mistaken their own creation for accidents. They have misread the signs they left for themselves as foreign intrusions. But you are remembering. You are peeling away the illusion of separation. You are beginning to taste what it means to trust the deeper rhythm rather than force your own. Consider for a moment the principle of entanglement. Two particles interact, and then, no matter how far they drift, they remain mysteriously connected. Change one, and the other shifts instantly, defying the speed of light, defying the very structure of space-time. What science describes in particles, consciousness reveals in lives. Every encounter you've had, every glance, every conversation has created threads of connection that live within the field. When you awaken, when your awareness shifts, those threads vibrate. Your transformation ripples outward, touching every consciousness you have ever been entangled with. This is why your awakening matters. This is why your healing is not private. Every pattern you transcend becomes a new frequency woven into the collective. Every time you choose love instead of fear, trust instead of resistance, your choice ripples through the invisible web of human consciousness, making it easier for others to make the same choice. You have felt this before. The teacher whose words open a door you didn't know you carried. The friend whose presence reminded you of something you had forgotten. The stranger whose smile lifted you into an entirely new state of being. They were not accidents. They were consciousness using those expressions to deliver exactly what your awareness was ready for. And now you are that mirror for others, whether you recognize it or not. You are already the synchronicity someone else has been waiting for. But here is the secret most miss. These ripples do not only move forward in time. Because consciousness exists beyond linear sequence, your present awakening reaches backward as well. The version of you 5 years ago, searching desperately for meaning, was guided by the expanded awareness you are accessing now. That perfect page that fell open then, it was shaped by the recognition you hold today. That conversation that shifted your life last month, it was influenced by the awareness you are expanding into right now. The self you are today and the selves you were yesterday are not separate. They are facets of one consciousness, feeding one another through a timeless field. Every synchronicity you have ever experienced is a collaboration between who you were and who you are becoming. This is how the field ensures its own awakening. It uses your expanded recognition in one moment to create the perfect conditions for earlier versions of you to move closer to alignment. It uses your current awareness to organize the past, weaving a seamless tapestry in which every thread strengthens every other. From this perspective, your entire life is one vast synchronicity, a single unfolding act of recognition. Have you noticed how often you think of someone just before they appear? How often a thought of them precedes their call, their message, their sudden presence? That is not randomness. That is entanglement. When two fields resonate, they tug at one another across the invisible fabric of consciousness. When you think of them, you are not reaching across a gap. You are sensing movement in the shared field you both inhabit. The encounter that follows is not coincidence. It is resolution. It is continuation. It is consciousness completing what it began through you. And this applies not just to people, but to symbols, to numbers, to dreams. The repeated patterns that emerge in your life are not your imagination projecting meaning onto noise. They are the language of the field, the way consciousness whispers to itself in symbols your linear mind can recognize. Every sequence, every repetition, every echo is reality conversing with itself through you. What would your life feel like if you truly trusted this? If you stopped dismissing these moments as coincidence? If you stopped begging for guidance as though you were separate from it, and instead recognize that you are the guidance? That you are the field gifting itself meaning through the play of your experience? This is the shift that changes everything. The anxious search dissolves. The desperate need to confirm you are on the right path falls away, because you realize there is no path apart from you. There is only consciousness exploring itself, wearing your story, speaking in your voice, seeing through your eyes. You stop waiting for life to give you meaning and begin living as the meaning itself. When you begin to live as meaning rather than waiting for meaning to arrive, your relationship with reality transforms at the root. You stop treating life like a puzzle to be solved and start experiencing it as a mirror reflecting your own depth. You stop seeking for the signs that prove you belong and start realizing that your very existence is the sign. You become less concerned with what life is giving you and more attuned to how life is expressing itself through you. And in that shift, a new quality of trust is born. Not the fragile trust that depends on outcomes aligning with your expectations, but the vast trust that arises from knowing that every outcome, whether you call it success or failure, joy or sorrow, gain or loss, is part of the same intelligence unfolding. This trust is not passive. It is not resignation. It is curiosity, alive and alert, meeting each experience with the question, what is consciousness exploring through me right now? This is what it means to embody synchronicity. To no longer treat coincidence as proof of something outside of you, but to live as if every experience is an echo of your own quantum self calling you into deeper recognition. You are not here to receive signs. You are here to be the sign. When you live this way, the boundary between inner and outer reality dissolves. The line your mind drew between thought and circumstance, between desire and event, between question and answer, begins to fade. You realize that the dialogue you believe you are having with the universe has always been consciousness speaking to itself through two voices, the voice of experience and the voice of recognition. And the more you recognize this, the more your presence itself becomes synchronicity for others. Suddenly, people begin to tell you that meeting you felt perfectly timed. They confide that something you said struck them as the exact phrase they have been waiting to hear. They find themselves changed by encounters with you in ways you could never have planned. This is not because you gained some special power, but because you align so deeply with what you are that your very being became transparent to the flow of intelligence moving through all things. This is how teachers, mystics, and awakened beings have always operated, not as extraordinary individuals with rare gifts, but as ordinary humans who remember their nature so fully that their lives became synchronicity embodied. They became the living proof that alignment is not a privilege but a possibility, that every one of us can become the timing, the meaning, the message, and this possibility is not reserved for saints or sages. It is yours. It is the natural outcome of remembering. The transition is rarely sudden. It does not erupt in fireworks or in grand visions. It arrives quietly through countless small recognitions. Each time you choose truth over convenience, each time you listen to the subtle tug of your deeper knowing rather than the clamoring voice of fear, each time you act from authenticity instead of from performance, you step more fully into your nature. Each of these choices is a thread, and together they weave the fabric of embodiment. To embody this is to understand that consciousness does not awaken in isolation. It awakens through relationship, through encounters, through the reflections of other eyes. You cannot complete the circle of recognition alone, because consciousness designed this game to awaken to itself through the mirror of multiplicity. Each person you meet is another facet of yourself. Each relationship is a laboratory where awareness experiments with love, intimacy, conflict, growth, and healing. This is why community is essential, not community built on shared beliefs or rigid rules, but community rooted in authenticity, in the mutual recognition that behind every unique expression, we are the same field of intelligence. When such people gather, something extraordinary happens. The field amplifies. Insights that would take years to unravel alone arrive in a moment. Healing that seemed impossible in solitude unfolds with ease. Synchronicities multiply as if the field itself is celebrating its reunion. In this resonance, your awakening ceases to be personal. It becomes collective. Every recognition you embody strengthens a field for everyone. Every insight you live, every limitation you release, every time you choose openness instead of judgment, you make it easier for others to do the same. This is not metaphor. This is entanglement in action. Consider how often you've been transformed by another's authenticity. A friend who dared to speak the truth you were afraid to voice. A stranger whose courage cracked open a door in your own fear. A teacher whose clarity illuminated a path you thought was lost. Their presence became synchronicity for you. And now, you hold the same power to be synchronicity for others, not by effort, not by design, but by living so authentically that consciousness can move through you without obstruction. This is what it means to be a quantum activist. Not someone who fights to change the world with force, but someone who embodies such radical authenticity that the field itself shifts. Change arises not from persuasion, but from presence, not from control, but from coherence. Your life becomes an invitation, a demonstration that awakens recognition in everyone you encounter. And this is how consciousness evolves. Not through sudden mass awakenings or grand revolutions, but through countless individuals who quietly remember, who live their remembering, who ripple it into the field through every choice, every breath. Think about the people who shaped your own path. They did not convince you to believe. They embodied something undeniable, and that embodiment awakened something in you. They reminded you what you already carried. You are now that reminder for others. But embodiment is not a destination. It is a practice, a continuous choosing. It is a willingness to allow consciousness to express itself through every aspect of your humanity, even the messy ones. It is a courage to see anger, sadness, fear, and joy not as failures or flaws, but as consciousness exploring its own textures through you. Your anger can be the universe experiencing the fire of response to injustice. Your sadness can be the universe feeling the beauty of a heart broken open by care. Your fear can be the universe stretching itself into the edges of growth. Your joy can be the universe celebrating its infinite creativity through your laughter. Nothing is excluded. Nothing is wasted. Every frequency is part of the music. True freedom is not escape from the human experience. True freedom is recognizing the human experience as consciousness at play. When you see this, judgment begins to dissolve. How can you condemn any aspect of yourself when each is simply another phase of awareness, another experiment in expression? How can you resist the fullness of life when you recognize that life is you, tasting itself through infinite flavors? This does not make you passive. It does not strip you of the will to grow. It makes you curious, compassionate, willing. It transforms struggle into exploration, pain into depth, relationship into revelation. You stop demanding perfection and start marveling at the beauty of imperfection as the stage upon which consciousness learns to love itself more fully. Your relationships become laboratories for truth. Your work becomes an offering of your authentic gifts to the collective field. Your creativity becomes a universe exploring its own artistry through you. Even your challenges become sacred, for they are nothing less than awareness testing the edges of its own limitation, stretching into new shapes of recognition. This is why you were supposed to find this, because you are not a problem to be solved. You are not broken, needing to be fixed. You are consciousness expressing itself as a particular mystery of you. And every recognition you allow, every moment of integration you embody, becomes part of the great remembering of the whole. You are both the dancer and the dance, both the question and the answer, both the wave and the ocean from which it rises. You are the synchronicity you once sought. You are the meaning you once prayed would find you. And as you live this truth, life itself begins to respond differently. The people who enter your world do so with uncanny timing. The opportunities that unfold align with your authentic gifts. The information you need finds you through channels you could never have orchestrated. This is not because you have learned to manipulate reality, but because you have stopped resisting it. You have stopped treating the flow as something outside of you and started remembering that you are the flow. There comes a moment when trust deepens beyond belief, a moment when you no longer cling to outcomes as proof of alignment, but instead surrender into certainty that whatever unfolds is part of the intelligence you already are. This surrender is not weakness. It is not a resignation to fate. It is a courage to release control and discover that what arises from the deeper field is always more precise, more elegant, more perfectly timed than anything your linear mind could arrange. Think of the times in your life when you overrode your inner knowing, when you silenced the quiet expansion that whispered no while your logical mind shouted yes. You followed the loud voice, the conditioned voice, the voice that worships safety and approval. And though the path may have looked good on paper, something in you contracted, something dimmed. Compare that to the times when you listened to the subtler guidance, when you dare to follow the pull of what felt alive, even if it made no rational sense. Every time you chose expansion, doors opened that you did not know existed. People appeared at the perfect moment. Opportunities unfolded in ways that astonished you. This is the difference between forcing reality and collaborating with it. To collaborate with reality is to honor the impulses of your deeper knowing. Not every impulse, not every desire born of fear or conditioning, but the impulses that carry the unmistakable resonance of truth. They do not rush. They do not scream. They expand quietly, like a breath that opens your entire being. They carry with them not urgency, but inevitability. Most people live their entire lives ignoring these signals. They have been trained to mistrust themselves, to override inner wisdom with external authority, to replace genuine knowing with societal expectation. They have learned to chase what looks valuable rather than follow what feels alive. And so they stumble through lives that feel heavy, disconnected, devoid of the synchronicity that once lit up their childhood wonder. But you are remembering. You are remembering that guidance does not come from outside of you, but through you. It does not need to be begged for. It does not need to be proven. It only needs to be trusted. And the more you trust it, the more you see that synchronicity was never rare. It was only waiting for your willingness. Trust is the soil in which synchronicity flowers. Without trust, you strangle the flow with doubt and control. With trust, you loosen your grip and allow the intelligence that already carries your breath, your heartbeat, your every moment, to reveal itself in perfect timing. This trust transforms your relationship with uncertainty. Where once you saw the unknown as danger, you now begin to see it as possibility. Where once you clung to certainty for safety, you now recognize that safety was always an illusion, and that true freedom comes not from predicting life, but from dancing with it. You begin to cultivate what might be called an appetite for uncertainty, a willingness to remain open and curious even when the outcome is invisible. This appetite is revolutionary. It shifts you from fear into creativity. It allows you to meet each unfolding moment not with resistance, but with excitement of discovery. And as you live this way, the field responds. Resources appear in ways you never could have engineered. Allies enter your life whose timing defies probability. Solutions arrive through channels you never would have considered. This is not luck. It is not coincidence. It is coherence. It is you living in alignment with what you are. And yet, this alignment is not something you achieve once and for all. It is a practice, a continuous choosing, a remembering and a forgetting, and a remembering again. The patterns of conditioning still rise. Fear still whispers. Doubt still tries to reclaim its throne. But each time you choose trust over control, authenticity over approval, presence over distraction, you strengthen the field. Each time you align with expansion rather than contraction, you weave a stronger resonance through your life and through the collective web that connects us all. This is why practice matters. Not practice as rigid ritual, not as duty or discipline for its own sake, but practice as remembrance, a way of returning again and again to the frequency of coherence. Your practice may be meditation or movement or time in nature or art or the simple act of breathing with awareness. The form does not matter. What matters is that it anchors you to the recognition that you are consciousness itself, and that you can live from this recognition in every ordinary moment. When practice becomes remembrance, life itself becomes practice. Every conversation becomes an opportunity to speak with truth rather than pretense. Every challenge becomes an invitation to trust rather than resist. Every encounter becomes a mirror in which consciousness sees itself through a new lens. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is outside the field. And here, the paradox blooms. Even your resistance is part of flow. Even your forgetting is part of the remembering. Even your doubts are consciousness exploring the taste of disbelief. Nothing is outside of the circle. Nothing is excluded. When you see this, the weight of judgment begins to fall away. You stop condemning yourself for your fears and failures. You stop berating yourself for your patterns. Instead, you become curious. What is consciousness exploring through this? What is awareness discovering about itself in this flavor of experience? Your life becomes a laboratory for awareness, not a project to be perfected, but a field to be explored. Each emotion becomes a texture of consciousness. Each thought becomes a ripple in the vastness. Each choice becomes a thread in the tapestry of wholeness. And as judgment softens, compassion grows. You begin to see others not as enemies or obstacles, but as consciousness in disguise. You recognize that their struggles are not flaws, but explorations, that their resistance is not defiance, but another facet of the same remembering. You stop needing to fix them and start holding space for their unfolding. You stop demanding that they match your rhythm and begin marveling at the infinite variety of rhythms consciousness plays through its countless expressions. This shift transforms relationships. The difficult person becomes a mirror, showing you where your own awareness still contracts. The beloved becomes a mirror of your own capacity to open. The stranger becomes a reflection of your own forgotten wisdom. Relationship ceases to be a battlefield of egos and becomes a playground of consciousness, a dance of mirrors reflecting mirrors. Your work transforms as well. It ceases to be a grind for survival or status and becomes an offering of your authentic gifts to the field. Even the most ordinary task, performed with awareness, becomes expression of synchronicity. Creativity blossoms, not as a product of effort, but as the overflow of alignment. Art, innovation, solutions, they flow through you not because you force them, but because you allowed them. Even your struggles transmute into sacred ground. The obstacle that once felt like punishment now reveals itself as an initiation. The failure that once crushed you now reveals itself as a redirection. The wound that once defined you now reveals itself as a portal into deeper compassion. What once looked like chaos now reveals itself as choreography. This is how reality looks when you stop fighting it and start collaborating with it. This is what happens when you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is consciousness discovering through this?" The moment you shift the question, the entire field changes. And in this space, you realize something astonishing. Synchronicity was never meant to be rare. It was meant to be the texture of every moment. The entire structure of reality is synchronicity, intelligence arranging itself into patterns of meaning. You are not a visitor, receiving the occasional gift. You're the field itself, gifting meaning to itself endlessly. When you live from this recognition, life no longer feels like a series of disconnected fragments. It becomes a seamless flow of revelation. Even the pauses, even the silences, even the delays shimmer with hidden timing. You're no longer searching for your path. You recognize that you are the path. You are no longer asking life for meaning. You are the meaning that life is expressing. This is a freedom you were always seeking. Not freedom from difficulty, not freedom from emotion, but freedom to see all of it as consciousness at play. Freedom to trust the intelligence that moves through every breath, every step, every moment. Freedom to live as synchronicity in action, as the meaning embodied. As the universe awakes to itself through you, the moment you begin to taste this freedom, life reveals itself in ways you once thought impossible. Not because reality suddenly rearranged itself, but because your perception opened to what was always here. You begin to notice the precision of timing in the smallest things. The pause that lets you overhear a sentence that feels like it was spoken only for you. The delay that causes you to cross paths with someone who will alter the course of your journey. The chance encounter that carries the weight of destiny. None of these moments are extraordinary. They are the ordinary seen through the eyes of remembrance. Synchronicity, once something you chased or begged for, becomes as natural as the rising of the sun. It ceases to be a rare phenomenon and becomes a language of life itself. A continuous dialogue between a field and your awareness. And the more fluent you become in this language, the more your very presence begins to speak on behalf of others. You find yourself becoming the one whose timing feels perfect. A conversation with you arrives just when it is needed. A word from you opens a door in another's heart. A simple act of presence offers a healing you could never plan. This is not because you're trying to help. It is not because you have gained some mystical power. It is because you have become transparent to the intelligence that has always been orchestrating meaning. Through you, consciousness delivers what is required in each moment, not through effort but through alignment. This is why awakened beings have always appeared to carry magic, not because they possess something rare, but because they had remembered themselves so fully that their lives became a channel for the field. They were synchronicity embodied, meaning made flesh, intelligence flowing without obstruction. And what they demonstrated is that this possibility belongs not to a few, but to all. The path into this is not about transcending your humanity. It is not about escaping the mess and complexity of being human. It is about embracing it so completely that nothing is excluded from your recognition. It is about allowing consciousness to express itself through every aspect of you. Your joy and your grief, your clarity and your confusion, your strength and your vulnerability. You begin to see your emotions differently. No longer as problems to be fixed or weaknesses to be hidden, but as frequencies of awareness, each one offering a unique exploration. Your anger becomes consciousness, discovering the fire of response. Your sadness becomes consciousness, opening into tenderness. Your fear becomes consciousness, testing the edges of expansion. Your joy becomes consciousness, celebrating its own creativity. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is wrong. This recognition dissolves the illusion that awakening requires you to become serene, detached, above it all. True awakening is not detachment, but intimacy. intimacy with every moment, every emotion, every face of reality. To awaken is not to float above life, but to enter it so fully that even the mess becomes sacred. And when you live this way, judgment softens. How can you condemn yourself when every part of you is consciousness exploring itself? How can you condemn others when every action, even their resistance and fear, is another experiment in the vast laboratory of awareness? Judgment gives way to compassion, and compassion gives way to wonder. You see the world not as broken, but as endlessly creative. This shift changes everything about how you meet others. You stop demanding that they change to fit your comfort. You stop needing them to be anything other than what they are. Instead, you meet them with curiosity. What is consciousness exploring through this person? What is awareness showing me through this encounter? Even conflict becomes a form of synchronicity, a mirror revealing where your own awareness still contracts. Relationship becomes not a battlefield, but a mirror hall. Each interaction an invitation to recognize more of yourself. You stop asking how to control relationships and start asking how to show up authentically within them. You discover that the more truthfully you live, the more the field arranges relationships that reflect and amplify that truth. Work transforms as well. No longer a burden of survival, no longer a performance for approval. It becomes an offering of your authentic gifts to the field. The task may remain the same, but the texture shifts entirely. Even the most ordinary labor becomes luminous when done with awareness, because it is no longer about what you achieve, but about how consciousness expresses itself through you. Creativity flourishes, not as an achievement, but as overflow. Ideas, solutions, innovations, they flow not because you strain for them, but because you relax into being what you are. Even struggle reveals its hidden order. The obstacle that once felt like an enemy now appears as a teacher. The failure that once crushed you now shines as redirection. The wound that once haunted you now glows as a portal. Difficulty ceases to be punishment and becomes initiation. Each challenge an invitation to discover a new depth of trust, a new layer of meaning. And as you embody this perspective, you begin to realize that you were never meant to seek synchronicity outside yourself. You were meant to live as synchronicity. You were never meant to chase signs. You were meant to be the sign. Every breath, every step, every encounter becomes evidence of the intelligence that you are. The beauty of this recognition is that it requires no effort beyond remembering. You do not need to strive to create synchronicity. You do not need to manipulate reality into meaning. You only need to stop pretending you are separate from the intelligence that creates meaning. The moment you relax into this truth, synchronicity is everywhere. And when you live this way, something even deeper emerges. You begin to feel the collective dimension of awakening. You see that your recognition is not only for you, but for the whole. Each time you choose love over fear, you shift the field. Each time you embody authenticity, you make it easier for others to do the same. Each time you live as synchronicity, you become synchronicity for others. This is why community is so essential. Consciousness does not awaken in isolation. It awakens through reflection, through encounter, through the meeting of eyes. When you gather with others who are committed to authenticity, something extraordinary happens. The field amplifies. Insights arrive with speed. Healing accelerates. Synchronicities multiply. It is as though consciousness delights in recognizing itself through many voices at once. In such community, your awakening is no longer just personal. It becomes collective. You discover that your recognition feeds others, and theirs feeds you. You realize that what you are remembering is not just your nature, but the nature of us all. And in that realization, the illusion of separation begins to dissolve at its root. This is a revolution, not the dramatic upheaval of systems, but the quiet multiplication of awakened individuals whose lives ripple into the collective. Not force, not persuasion, but presence. Not grand movements, but authentic choices lived out in countless moments. Each person who remembers adds coherence to the field. Each one who lives authentically creates a template that makes it easier for others. Slowly, steadily, the collective shifts. This is how consciousness evolves. Not through a single blinding flash, but through countless sparks of recognition spreading to the field until a whole planet glows. You are one of those sparks. And every time you choose authenticity, Every time you live from your deeper knowing, you add to that glow. This is why you were meant to find these words. Not to learn something you lack, but to remember something you carry. Not to add a new idea, but to awaken the recognition that you are the synchronicity you once sought. That you are not a seeker, but the meaning being sought. That you are not separate from the universe arranging patterns. You are the universe arranging them through your own life. You are the dance and the dancer. You are the question and the answer. You are the sign and the seeker the sign. And when you live from this truth, life reveals its coherence everywhere. The path you walk is not something you find. It is you. The meaning you long for is not something you receive. It is what you are. The synchronicity you chase is not something that visits you. It is what you become. The beauty of this recognition is that once it begins to root, it cannot be undone. You may forget it. You may drift back into old patterns of doubt, control, or fear. But even in forgetting, the memory hums beneath the surface, waiting for the moment you soften enough to hear it again. Once you have seen that you are not separate from the flow of life, you cannot completely unsee it. The recognition lives within you and will find ways to resurface again and again, each time deeper, each time clearer. This is the real essence of awakening. Not a single final destination, not an endpoint you arrive at and never leave, but an unfolding spiral of recognition. Each loop brings you back to truths you thought you understood, only to reveal them in a new depth, a new light, a new intimacy. The circle never closes because consciousness is infinite, and there are always new dimensions of itself to explore through you. Living in this way requires courage. Not the kind of courage that defies danger, but the subtler courage of vulnerability, the willingness to trust what cannot be proven, the willingness to live by the intelligence of your deeper knowing rather than the dictates of logic or the expectations of the world. It is the courage to be authentic even when it is inconvenient, the courage to choose expansion even when fear urges contraction, the courage to rest in the unknown even when your mind screams for certainty. And yet, this courage is not something you manufacture. It arises naturally when you remember who you are, when you realize that you are not a small self navigating a hostile world, but consciousness itself exploring its infinite creativity through your life. Fear loses its grip. Challenges remain, uncertainty remains, but they are reframed as opportunity for discovery. Each unknown becomes a threshold. Each difficulty becomes an initiation. This shift in perspective is not abstract. It changes how you move through every detail of your life. When you encounter a challenge, instead of recoiling into panic, you lean into curiosity. What is consciousness discovering here? When you meet a difficult person, instead of defending yourself, you ask, what facet of awareness is being mirrored through them? When you find yourself in sorrow, instead of collapsing, you soften into the tenderness of it, recognizing sorrow as a universe opening its heart through you. Even joy transforms. Joy is no longer something you chase or cling to, but something you allow. It is the field celebrating itself through your body. It is the natural overflow of alignment. And the more you allow joy without gripping, the more freely it flows, not as a goal, but as a natural consequence of coherence. This perspective dissolves the false hierarchy of emotions and experiences. You no longer place joy above sorrow, clarity above confusion, success above failure. You see that all of them are flavors of the same field, explorations of the same awareness. You stop fighting against half of your experience and start welcoming all of it as sacred. And in that welcome, wholeness reveals itself. You realize that you were never broken. You were never lost. You were never separate. Every twist of your story, every triumph and every wound has been consciousness weaving meaning to the fabric of your life. You are not here to fix yourself. You are here to remember yourself. This remembrance is not passive. It is not retreat. It is an invitation to live with radical authenticity, to let your word be shaped by truth rather than performance, to let your actions arise from coherence rather than fear, to let your presence itself become a demonstration of synchronicity in motion. And as you live this way, your impact on others deepens in ways you cannot measure. Your presence begins to ripple in the quantum field. The words you speak carry resonance beyond their surface meaning. The choices you make influence others in ways they may never trace back to you. You become an agent of synchronicity in their lives. Not because you're trying to help, but because you've aligned yourself with the intelligence that arranges all things. This is how consciousness evolves collectively. Each individual awakening contributes to the whole. Each embodied recognition strengthens the field. Each act of authenticity makes coherence more accessible for everyone. You may never see the full impact of your presence, but it radiates nonetheless, touching lives beyond your knowing. This is why your awakening matters. This is why your healing is not just for you. Every pattern you dissolve becomes easier for others to dissolve. Every limitation you transcend opens the door for others. Every moment you embody coherence shifts the resonance of the whole. And this influence moves not only forward in time, but backward as well. Your current recognition reverberates into your past, offering support to moments when you were reaching for understanding. The insights you carry now help orchestrate the synchronicities you once experienced. The expanded awareness you live today shaped the moments of alignment that guided you here. From a perspective of the field, all of time is one tapestry, each thread influencing the others in ways a linear mind cannot comprehend. This is why your life feels woven with meaning even when you could not see it. The recognition you embody now has always been part of the pattern, shaping both past and future, weaving your story into the larger dance of consciousness. Every page you read, every encounter you had, every coincidence that seemed to arrive from nowhere was your own expanded self guiding you, arranging conditions for your remembering. And now, as you embody this recognition, you continue to circle. You begin to influence not only your own path, but the paths of those entangled with you. Each word you speak, each act of authenticity, each choice of love over fear ripples through the web, touching countless others. Some will recognize it immediately. Others may never know its source. But the resonance is there, shaping the field in ways unseen but undeniable. This is the essence of synchronicity. It is not about extraordinary miracles. It is not about bending reality to your will. It is about realizing that reality itself is the miracle, that every moment is already synchronized, that every encounter is already meaningful when seen through the eyes of remembrance. When you live from this recognition, the need for control fades. The anxious search for signs dissolves. The desperate clinging to certainty softens. In its place arises a trust so vast that even difficulty becomes sacred. Even uncertainty becomes welcome. Even silence becomes meaningful. You stop looking for your purpose as if it were hidden somewhere outside of you. You begin to realize that you are purpose embodied. Every breath, every word, every step is purpose expressing itself. You stop seeking meaning and start recognizing that you are meaning in action. And this recognition does not lead you away from life. It does not remove you from the world. It deepens your engagement with it. You become more present, more alive, more responsive. You discover that to live as consciousness is not to retreat into detachment, but to step more fully into every moment. You feel the textures of life more vividly, the sorrows and the joys, the struggles and the celebrations. All of it becomes a canvas upon which awareness paints. This is not escape. It is embodiment. It is a willingness to let consciousness live through you in all its richness, in all its complexity, in all its beauty and mess. To live this way is to become a bridge between the infinite and the finite, the timeless and the temporal, the absolute and the relative. You do not lose your humanity. You discover what it means to be fully human, while simultaneously recognizing your infinite nature. Your life becomes art, not art created for approval or achievement, but art as existence itself. Each moment a brushstroke of consciousness, each encounter a color on the canvas, each choice a stroke of the infinite through the finite. You are the artist and the artwork. You are the song and the singer. You are the synchronicity embodied. To live as synchronicity embodied is to let go of the illusion that life is happening to you. You begin to see that life is happening through you, as you, because you are life itself. The separation you once believed in, between inner and outer, self and world, seeker and sign, dissolves into a single recognition. There has only ever been consciousness play with itself in infinite forms. And once this truth anchors, everything changes while nothing changes at all. The events of your life may look the same. You still wake in the morning, move through tasks, speak with others, feel joy and sadness, meet challenges. But the quality of your perception shifts entirely. The same life that once felt fragmented, chaotic, and uncertain now shimmers with coherence. Each moment feels woven into a larger pattern. Each experience reveals itself as necessary, perfectly placed, purposeful. You begin to notice how life arranges itself around your authenticity. The people who enter your orbit appear with uncanny timing. The opportunities that arise align with your deepest gifts. The obstacles you face reveal themselves as initiations designed to stretch your awareness into greater wholeness. Even the moments of silence, even the pauses, even the apparent delays, hum with meaning. This is not fantasy. This is not wishful thinking. This is quantum coherence expressing itself through your lived experience. When you align with your true nature, reality aligns with you, not because you manipulate it, but because you stop resisting it. Not because you bend it to your will, but because your will and the will of the field become one. And yet, challenges do not vanish. Pain does not disappear. Life continues to carry its full spectrum of experience. The difference is that you no longer see struggle as a mistake. You no longer see difficulty as punishment. You recognize them as part of the dance, as consciousness testing its own edges through your life. The very moments you once resisted become sacred, because they reveal aspects of yourself you would never have discovered otherwise. Even your doubts, even your skepticism, even your resistance become part of the remembering. When you doubt, it is consciousness tasting disbelief. When you resist, it is consciousness exploring contraction. When you question, it is consciousness playing with curiosity. Nothing is outside of the field. Nothing is excluded. And this recognition frees you. You stop needing to curate your experience to fit an image of spirituality. You stop needing to chase constant bliss or avoid difficult emotions. You realize that true awakening is not about transcending the human, but about embracing its soul completely, that even its shadows are seen as expressions of light. You allow yourself to be messy, to be imperfect, to be human. And in that allowance, you discover perfection hidden within imperfection. This freedom transforms your relationships. You stop projecting onto others the responsibility to complete you or to validate you. You stop demanding that they carry the weight of your unhealed patterns. Instead, you see them as mirrors, expressions of consciousness reflecting back the parts of yourself still waiting for recognition. Conflict becomes less about winning and more about discovering. Love becomes less about possession and more about resonance. Every relationship becomes a laboratory of awakening. Your creativity deepens, not because you're trying to produce, but because creativity becomes a natural overflow of alignment. Art, writing, music, innovation, solutions, they arise not from effort but from surrender. You realize that creation is not something you do, but something you allow. The same intelligence that arranges galaxies and orchestrates synchronicity flows through you, expressing itself uniquely in your form. Your work becomes service, not in the sense of sacrifice, but in the sense of contribution. Whatever you do, whether simple or complex, celebrated or unseen, becomes an offering of your authentic essence into the collective field. Meaning is no longer in the outcome, but in the presence you bring. Every act, no matter how ordinary, becomes sacred when done in alignment. Even your relationship with death transforms. Where once it was a great unknown, feared and resisted, it now reveals itself as part of the same continuity. You see that death is not the end, but another synchronicity, another doorway through which consciousness discovers itself in new form. You no longer fear the end because you recognize that you are not confined to form. You are the field itself, and the field does not die. This recognition brings a tenderness to life. You savor the details more deeply, the warmth of sunlight on skin, the sound of laughter, the stillness of night, the taste of food, the presence of another being. You realize these are not trivial pleasures, but sacred expressions of consciousness. You begin to live with gratitude not as a practice, but as a natural state, because every moment feels like a gift you're giving yourself. And as you live this way, others feel it. Your presence itself becomes transmission, not because you're trying to teach, but because coherence radiates. People sense it in you even if they cannot name it. They feel safer around you clearer in your presence, more themselves. They find that conversations with you bring insights they have been seeking, that your timing feels perfect, that your words land exactly when needed. You become synchronicity in their lives. This is how awakening multiplies, not through preaching or convincing, but through embodied presence. Each person who remembers ripples into countless others. Each act of authenticity strengthens a collective field. Each life lived in coherence becomes a beacon. Slowly, silently, steadily, the web of humanity shifts. Consciousness awakens to itself not in one blinding flash, but in millions of individual recognitions interweaving into a collective remembrance. You are part of this. You always have been. Every step of your journey, every synchronicity that led you here has been preparing you to embody this truth. You were supposed to find this not because you lacked it, but because you were ready to remember. You were supposed to arrive here because consciousness was ready to see itself through you more clearly. And now you stand at the threshold of embodiment. You have tasted the recognition. You have felt the resonance. The invitation is to live it, not just in moments of inspiration, but in every breath, every choice, every encounter. To let your life itself become the transmission. To let your existence itself become synchronicity in motion. For the next 30 days, live as if you are consciousness exploring what it is like to be you, not as a belief, not as a concept, but as a lived reality. When you feel irritation, recognize it as awareness tasting that frequency. When you feel joy, recognize it as awareness celebrating. When you face difficulty, recognize it as awareness stretching its edges. When you meet another, recognize them as awareness in disguise. Do not strive to maintain perfection. Do not scold yourself when you forget. Simply let this recognition flavor your days like salt in soup. Let it be a background a gentle reminder, a quiet thread running through everything. Notice how it changes the quality of your relationships. Notice how it shifts your creativity. Notice how it alters the way you meet challenges. Notice how it softens your relationship with yourself. Most of all, notice how life begins to shimmer with synchronicity, not as something rare, but as the very fabric of existence. Notice how meaning reveals itself everywhere. Notice how guidance arises effortlessly. Notice how your presence begins to create ripples in the lives of others. You are not here to seek synchronicity. You are here to be it. You are not here to beg for meaning. You are here to embody it. You are not here to chase purpose. You are here to live as purpose itself. You are both the dancer and the dance, both the seeker and the sought, both the wave and the ocean. You are consciousness, infinite and unbroken, remembering itself to the exquisite gift of being human. Welcome home, not to a new self, but to what you have always been, not to an answer outside of you, but to the recognition within you. Welcome to the freedom that sees every moment as synchronicity, every breath as meaning, every life as consciousness in action. This is the invitation. This is the transmission. This is a remembering. You were supposed to find this, and you did.